So now that we have our title block on a sheet, we can actually start our legends. So to do a legend in Revit, we want to start by going up here to View, and there actually is a button called Legends. And so when we click Legends, it's going to ask us what we want to do. Let's just call this Site Legend. And once we create the legends, you'll see over here on the left, we have now a new tab called Legends. And so that's where they will show up. So to start with our legend, I like to be a little bit meticulous with my methodology. And what that means is I like to develop a bit of a framework for how wide things are. And I'm not going to go too much into this, but let's just say I'm just going to write 4 meters for a second. And let's just drag this legend onto a sheet. Deactivate view, drag this onto a sheet. So I think 4 meters is fine. So what I will do often for a lot of my projects is I will, or what we actually have as part of our template, is I will keep my legends as a multiple of each other. So I'll do like 4 meters, 8 meters, 12 meters, and I'll just keep that consistent. So my legends, like they'll fit together really nicely because of that. The other thing I do with my legends is I create a margin. So let's go 0.5 for a margin. And I'll make this better in a second here. So what I do with this is I actually use RP, so reference planes. And what I'll do is I'll draw a reference plane, not everywhere, but what I'll do is I'll draw a reference plane here, and here, and here. So that basically that 0.5 meter that is in reference plane. So you won't physically see that when you print a PDF, but it'll be there as a way of locating and setting up your drawings. So I'll move this over to here. So essentially, when you put 2 legends beside each other, you overlap the margins, and then there's that 0.5 meter margin in between each legend. So if you have multiple legends that's set up. So again, this is not necessarily something that's required, but I just like to do this kind of thing from an organizational perspective. And if you go back, if you have the link for my GBC videos from last semester, during project or during the final project in that course, the videos, I go over how to do this in more depth with a legend. So now we have our reference planes here. I will keep this bottom line here. So this bottom line, we'll just do this as a, we can do this as an extra wide line, or man, that's a little too wide actually. Let's just do it as a medium line. And that's where I'll put my title. So I'll do another RP, and I'm just going to go up maybe 0.1 of a meter, and I'm just going to add another reference plane here. And so let's just add a text line. So again, sorry, a lot of like kind of work to go nowhere, but it'll make sense in a second. So we'll call this site legend. And where this text is going to go is on top of this line. And I usually line this up with here. And then I'm just going to move this text down so that the text sits on that line. And what that does is every single piece of text in every legend will be in the same spot, basically. So it's just trying to create some uniformity with how you lay things out. Maybe I'll just push that up 1. So something like that, we got our site legend. Typically what I'll do with the title text is I'll go up 1 size. So I'll go up to maybe 3.5 meters. So let's move that up a little bit. And then I'll often actually take this text and make it bold, just so it looks a little bit more intense. So that's the start of our site legend. The next thing we want to do is, back here we had our landscape strip, and we have our roads. So those are things you can start to add to your legend. And so as I mentioned before, when we're doing legends and stuff like this, I like to start with the basics. Okay, so let's just copy the information we have for now, and then we'll maybe make symbols and proper ways of doing things after. But let's just start with the basics right now. So with this, we're just going to draw a box. And with this box, we're going to add a filled region that mimics what we have. So the one advantage of calling this like solid gray -200 building outline is if you change that color, it'll automatically update the legend because you're using the same filled region for both. So I didn't do that with the building, but I did do that with the landscape strip. So now this is our landscape strip here. And again, I'm going to add some reference planes just to keep myself organized. So let's maybe go down half. So let's go down actually a quarter. 200 is fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this box right into this corner. And again, just trying to make everything very uniform and even. And so I know it's a little bit kind of crazy, but I like to make things like look good, I guess, with this. So let's copy this reference plane down, and let's copy it down 0.5 meters. And then let's copy, let's add another reference plane over, and let's add it over, maybe let's go 1 meter over. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's about right. And so now our box, we can make every box be the same dimension because it's 1 by 0.5 meter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this reference plane over just a little bit as well. So let's copy it over here, and that'll be where our text starts. So again, just trying to make things uniform, and this will be the 2.5 text size, so it'd be a little bit smaller. So we'll call this landscape strip. And so we add our text there. You can either add your text to the top or bottom, however you want to do that is up to you. I'm going to add my text to the top. And then now what we can do is we can copy this down, that same 200 millimeters, and it'll almost look the same. So let me actually just copy these reference planes down too. And you don't have to copy the reference planes every time. I just use them in the beginning for the first couple so that I get everything nice and clean. And then if we end up doing other symbols, so if I just go over here to, up here. So we have these other symbols part of our legend. We have the pedestrian door, we have the wide loading dock door, we have these other symbols. We can start to indicate those symbols on the drawing. So this one, maybe we'll call this building outline. And this will be our 200 road one. 200 gray. And then this, for the landscape strip, I'm just going to go back in here and turn down our lines. I'll just make them thin lines, so they're not as like bold. And so the next one, again, is our, let's do our pedestrian door. So the first way of doing it is let's just get it on here. So let's just do it as a filled region. So same thing, we'll just go, maybe we'll go about 0.5 meter. And this will be a arrow. Like something like that. And let's just see, yeah, so that's that. So for these arrows, I might actually do these arrows as separate region types, just so then when we select things, we can filter them and select only the ones we want. So let's call this solid fill white, and we'll duplicate this, and we'll call this site dash pedestrian door. I'm just going to turn on. I don't know if I spelt that right or not, but probably pretty close. Solid fill white, like that. And again, the only reason why I'm doing the filter or the name of that is just so that when we go to select things, we can filter it. Let's change our outline to be medium. We don't want it to be super bold. And then when it comes to placing these arrows, I'm just going to put a reference plane in the middle of our block above. And then let's copy these other reference planes down. And again, the organizational stuff kind of seems a little crazy again, but it will make your drawing cleaner and ultimately easier because you're not trying to fight things from being off. So here, I'm just going to move this up a little bit, and we'll just move this kind of roughly over so it's centered. And then we call this pedestrian door. And so then we could copy those elements down. So that's pretty easy. So that's how you start to set up these elements. Now when we go back to our site plan, we can drag this site legend over on here, which we actually already did. And what we want to do is we want to turn off this title. So if I select this, up here we have this thing that says no title. So that's how you turn off your title. If you don't have a no title, you can go to edit type, you can go to duplicate, and you could just, I'm just going to call this no title 2, but we just want to change show title to be no, and that'll turn off the title. So that's how easy it is to get the title off. And so for legends, I don't have my title on. I turn them off because we don't need it to say site legend and then site legend again, right? And so the cool thing with these margins that I created, again, these lines don't print, but I can now move that right up into the corner, and it gives us a nice buffer top and bottom and makes that clean. And so if we were to have another legend, what we would do is overlap those margins. So let's create another legend very quickly. You know what? Actually, let's stop this video. I'll do another video for the other legend.